Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge victory, imminent. Several Supreme Court justices have been critical of nationwide injunctions. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. You'll hear from Justice Alito in a second, Justice Thomas, Justice Kagan. Justice Kagan went after the Solicitor General Sauer and presented an argument that is the antithesis of what she stated in 2022. It just can't be right, Justice Kagan said in remarks in 2022 at Northwestern University Law School, that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through the normal process. This is exactly what AOC stated years back, a couple years ago, I think it was 2022, when she said that Biden should ignore a nationwide injunction from a federal judge in Texas. AOC literally stated that Biden should ignore the ruling. Ron Wyden, another top Democrat, liberal, far left or liberal Democrat, progressive, whatever, was also against nationwide injunctions and called them an example of judge shopping, or he used some other phrase. I think he used that phrase as well. But he said that conservatives were finding conservative judges, federal judges, to issue a conservative nationwide injunction, and that shouldn't take place. Well, now you have Kagan, AOC, Ron Wyden arguing apparently the exact opposite. But check this out. The Supreme Court is about to rule that nationwide injunctions can't happen anymore, primarily because they're a way for Democrats or Republicans, whenever Democrats return to the executive branch and the presidency, which will be a long time from now. They're in complete and utter disarray. But Democrats cannot legislate, and you'll hear Justice Alito in a second. They can't legislate because their alleged value system they're embarrassed of. They don't want to actually pass a bill in Congress protecting undocumented immigrants who have been accused of crimes or accused of being a member of a criminal organization. They're not going to pass legislation or push legislation that will protect undocumented individuals. They don't want to do that. They don't even believe that should be that should be part of any new legislation, which should tell you about their public relations stunts at detention facilities, ICE detention centers. Okay, they don't want to actually run on legislation that would correlate directly to their alleged value system because they know it's a losing proposition politically. They know the country elected Trump with the popular vote because they want to. Voters want the president to enforce immigration laws, to end perpetual wars, to bring manufacturing back to the country, which tariffs are a big part of, bringing manufacturing back to the country so we build things and have jobs for the working class that Democrats care so much about. Okay, so Trump is actually doing things that he was elected to do. Can't have 1 out of 600 federal judges in 90 different regions of the country prevent a president who just won the popular vote from doing what he was elected to do. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Check this out. The justices, they're leaning heavily towards an imminent victory for Trump.
Problems that he sees being created by universal injunctions. And he said that the issue was a non-ideological issue and a nonpartisan issue. Do you agree with that?
I do think presidents of both parties have objected to nationwide injunctions. I agree.
So what do you say about the practical problem? So let's put out of our minds the merits of this and just look at the abstract question of universal injunctions. What is your response to what some people think is the practical problem? And the practical problem is that there are 680 district court judges, and they are dedicated and they are scholarly, and I'm not impugning their motives in any way, but sometimes they're wrong. And all Article III judges are vulnerable to an occupational disease, which is...
Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes federal judges are wrong. Sometimes the esteemed and revered and very knowledgeable and brilliant Colorado State Supreme Court justices are wrong. The Colorado State Supreme Court is composed of brilliant people. They were refuted 9-0 by the Supreme Court in the most blatant, overt attempt at preventing the Democratic Party's direct political rival from being on the ballot nationwide. 9-0, unanimous rebuke of the Colorado State Supreme Court. These are very brilliant individuals, aren't they? Well, they're wrong. Jack Smith, what a great prosecutor, right? Like I said President Trump would get the immunity victory, and he got the Colorado State Supreme Court would be overturned, and I said that he would get the immunity victory. He got the immunity victory from the Supreme Court because Jack Smith and lower court and federal court judges were wrong. A president has immunity from frivolous, overtly partisan attempts at imprisoning him. And he can perform a speech. Yes, Trump can perform a speech. Doesn't matter if you think that he knew he was lying, which is complete nonsense. Not for 1 second did Trump ever believe he was treated fairly by Democrats in 2020. Not for one even nanosecond, okay? Look what they did. If Democrats did what they did to Bernie Sanders and Biden, if they even removed Biden and ensured that his vice president would usurp him after allegedly being the most popular, literally the most popular candidate of all time, how did he lose that support in less than 4 years? Gee, I wonder how. Maybe Trump was right. But they don't even have functioning primaries. So you have Democrats who don't even have functioning primaries pontificating about democracy. And then you have federal judges and you have state Supreme Courts who potentially are liberal in their viewpoint and wrong. That's a bad combination when you want to when you've just won the popular vote and Democrats can't legislate, right? Like I explained earlier.
The disease of thinking that I am right and I can do whatever I want. Now, on a multi-member appellate court, that is restrained by one's colleagues, but the trial judge sitting in the trial judge's courtroom is the monarch of that realm, and there are situations in which trial judges, the president does something. It could be President Trump, it could be President Biden, it could be President Obama. The trial judge says this is unlawful, and I'm going to enjoin it. And I'm convinced I'm right, so I'm not going to stay the injunction. And then an application is made to the Court of Appeals to stay the injunction. The Court of Appeals gives it the back of the hand, and then the case comes immediately to us in the context of an emergency application. And some of us have said, well, we don't think we should do anything in those situations unless it is indisputably clear that the court below was wrong. So what do you say to that practical problem?
So we're mindful of the practical problems. I will say the states have had a through line as well across administrations. We have never believed, even as nationwide injunctions restrained policies that we favored, that they were categorically off the table. We've always taken the position that they are sometimes available in narrow circumstances, whether we like the policy or don't like the policy.
So the legal team answering the question right now is they're falling into the same trap as the Colorado legal team and Jack Smith's legal team. The lawyers, the attorneys here trying to defend nationwide injunctions are meandering off into the history of it and how sometimes they're not that great, but they're still needed, and trying to give a history lesson to the justices. Whenever the liberal lawyers try to give history lessons to these justices, it doesn't ever work out. The Supreme Court is poised to give a huge victory to President Trump. And you can look at Elena Kagan in 2022. She didn't just change her viewpoint. Politically, she can't state this right now because Trump is in office. That one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks It just can't be right. Okay? She sided with Trump in 2022. This is going to be a huge victory for Trump very soon. Hit subscribe. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen.